happen next week. So in that case, for this week, a block, and in this stupid weather, maybe a blanket and a cushion as well. So I invite you to start lying down, and please do take the block near your mat. We will use that already in a moment's time. Now, if it is available to you to lie down near a wall, I highly recommend that for now, as I would love to start full on today and go straight into a light inversion, simply legs up the wall pose or Viparita Karani. So if you have a wall nearby, sit with the side of the hip to the wall, lie yourself down, and then take your legs up against the wall, or in my case, the cupboard. I find that quite comfortable. If you find it rather challenging, you could try and bend your knees at first. If you don't have a wall space near you, you can already use your block and support. Pop that underneath your buttocks and lift the feet up into the air without the wall. I'm hoping that the block or whatever you're using as a cushioning here might help you to leave the legs up there and still be fairly relaxed despite not having the wall space. So making your choice, maybe even using the block when you've got your legs up the wall. So sometimes it feels nice to bring the hips a bit higher. See what is more relaxing for you and attempt that shape. So once you've found your way into a light inversion, if closing the eyes today is rather distracting or challenging, you can leave your eyes open, and I invite you to simply steady your gaze. And then just noticing what's happening. Noticing very simply that there is a downward flow. If you like to encourage this flow in a very soft manner, you could wiggle your toes or gently move your feet, maybe even the ankles. And after a little bit of that movement, you could choose to pause it again. And maybe acknowledging that now there's still a flow. Maybe you can feel this flow a little bit better. Allowing the downward flow for now. And today, or rather yesterday, when I was thinking about this class and picking a card, it felt incomplete. And so another card deck popped up. So we will do the first card now as a way of bringing a focus into this practice. The second one we will think about at the end. The card that came up first is from the Law of Attraction. And it says, I can turn a downward spiral upward. So we are starting upside down as well. As you focus on the best of what you do have, even if only is a small part of your experience, the law of attraction will now bring you more of the essence of that. And so you can replace a downward spiral with a fast moving upward spiral by simply directing your thoughts more to things you do want. This is a basic reminder of the law of attraction and how it works. It is also a lovely reminder when we're starting our day that we are setting the tone for the day to come. What you are doing, for example, and thinking of in the morning will set you up for this day. So why not choose to focus on that you can do? Like bringing your feet up into the air and reversing the flow in your body, bringing the energy upwards. I hope in this short break you found something that you can do, a more positive attitude towards your day, as I invite you to take that through the practice. And that could begin with an intention that you're setting consciously now for the rest of the practice, if not for your whole day. I won't leave you upside down for much longer. No matter where you placed your feet, onto the wall or into the air, I'll ask you to soften the knees and let the knees come in towards the chest. No change of posture itself, just bending the knees into the chest and pausing there for a moment. Noticing that the legs might feel fairly heavy and that you could find or experience a different way of flow. Now, if you've got something underneath your hips, please remove that briefly. And I will ask you now to just roll over onto your right side at first. Stay on the right side, just in a fetal position, whether you've just rolled off the wall or you're lying on the floor. It might be a little bit trickier if you're lying next to the wall, so we'll just mimic that for a moment to see if the movement really works. Oh yeah, it would. So let us take a deep breath in and open the left arm out and across to the other side. Whether the arm is actually reaching the floor or the shoulder is not so important. Allow the head to maybe face upwards and take a deep breath. I will ask you then to one knee after the other, bring the knees back into center. And then roll across to your left-hand side. Let the whole body roll over there. Again, starting in a fetal position. And on the next breath in, let's open the top arm. Same here, not important if the hand or arm reaches the ground or if the shoulder gets anywhere close. As the head is naturally moving along, you can look upwards. And take a deep breath here. Now, sad news for those of you who are near the wall. I will ask you to roll back onto the left-hand side and find a centered position on your mat. For those of you lying on the mat itself, you can just lift your knee one after the other and return into center. We will move from center using the block. So what I'll invite you to do is just lift your hips up for a moment and pop the block. I will call everything a block for now, underneath your buttocks. Now, if it's not an actual block, this might be a better position than sliding it towards your feet. But if you've got a solid book or a block, slide it a bit downwards in the direction of the feet. So the flash of the buttocks is still on the block, but the tailbone is off the block. I'm after extension into the back, so release here. If you can do that, it should be okay to straighten the legs, but it is not necessarily. So please tune in with your back. So if the tailbone is off the block, you might feel a release when you do so. If there is pain in your back, please do not straighten the legs. In that case, leave the support underneath, but keep your feet on the ground. I will ask you to find your position, to relax the arms again, or even reach them over the head if that's comfortable for you, and then take a deep breath. Inviting you to deep, full breathing now. Belly, ribs to collarbones, and out from belly to ribs to collarbones. Each breath flowing from here in and out of the nose in the same pattern as before. Your thought about the physical body might be to release through the back, and especially the lower back. We won't stay in this restorative mode for much longer. We will get a little bit more active in a moment. To complete the release that we're providing here for our lower back and maybe even the hip flexors. Now, if your arms were lifted, bring them back down by the sides. If your legs were extended, step the feet back down, maybe one after the other. We will lift the hips again, remove that item underneath us, and just lower the hips back down onto the ground. If you can't interlace your hands behind the head, you might just bring your arms out to the sides instead. But if you can, that's preferred, building a cushion for the head. Lift your feet off the ground and cross your ankles. We will ideally go for 10 rounds as we point the feet, inhaling to tap the toes to the ground. And as you're exhaling, swing your knees up over the head. Inhaling, tap, exhaling, lifting up. You're not getting that high, that's perfectly fine. Just keep going with the tap and the lift as much as you can. Tap and out, rest to lift up. Aiming for 10. Pause after the 10s, changing the cross of your ankles. Keep everything the same, but maybe changing the interlace of the fingers behind the head. No change in movement. We'll tap down on the inhale or rock up on the exhale. Now I invite you to continue here as well for 10 more. There's nothing else to really look out for. If this didn't get you in your core in the first 10, it might get you now. Feel free to rest earlier or completing the 10. You've completed the 10. You will step your feet down onto the ground. Release your arms. Let the palms open. Wiggle your feet apart and let the knees fall in towards each other and just softening down here. Reflecting on how you're feeling, what sensations you can notice. Maybe returning the mind to your intention of allowing doable thoughts in the head, things you can do. And especially if there's movements in here that aren't quite that successful for yourself, trust the process of yoga that what you can do is good. As you separate your knees again, wiggle your feet a bit closer. Grab your block or support again. I will ask you to press down into the forearms and rise up to sit. Place the block lengthwise underneath you. We've done that before. Take your fingers onto the lower edge of the block and place that lower edge roughly at your brow line. Then lie over the block. If it's possible, let the head drop down towards the floor in a light fish pose. Let your arms open out towards the sides, but keep the elbows soft. You can keep your feet resting on the ground. You could also have another block or a cushion underneath the head if the head low doesn't suit you at all. So changing your position if you need to, finding comfort within this extension. If you can straighten the legs out here as well, this is an option. If your legs are straight, you may even relax them. My suggestion here is to either stay and just enjoy the opening of the front of the heart and stimulation of the back of the heart. If you enjoy movement, let's breathe in. Let the arms move up towards the space over your head. Don't have to touch it at all. And as you're breathing out, don't forget to soften the elbows. And as you're moving the arms down, move them all the way until you feel the shoulder blades lifting away from the block. So what we're doing here is massaging the shoulder blades along the block as we inhale, moving them upwards together with the arms. And as we're breathing out, bending the elbows here again, squeezing the shoulder blades down the block, releasing them. So repeating that movement for maybe 3 more rounds. Keep it slow and deliberate. The purpose here is the shoulder blades moving along the block. Or to create openness. Whenever you have completed your 3 rounds or you've had enough, pause it again. Soft arms out to the side, still stimulating of heart center. Asking you to step the feet back onto the mat, not too close towards you, not too far apart. Bringing your palms down onto the ground and sliding the fingers underneath the buttocks. Use your forearms. As you push down, tuck the chin in and ideally lift yourself straight up into a seated position. If it doesn't work like that, please roll over onto your side instead. Let us remove the block from underneath and find our way into an easy pose. Now, from this easy pose, if you like, you can pop the block back underneath your buttocks. It is just about sitting upright, so whatever gets you there is perfect. Even if you're using the wall again to lean against, that's perfectly fine too. We'll bring a slight movement in, but I will also invite you to use Ujjayi breathing. So if that's available to you, we will narrow down the air passage in the back of the throat. So we're creating a hissing sound. It feels a little bit like you're fogging up your glasses or a mirror when you want to wipe it down. So it feels like, and that's the sound that it creates as well, that soft hissing sound, oceanic sound. So let us begin the Ujjayi breath first and then at the movement. As we inhale, belly, ribs to collarbones, that's happening through the nose. And as we're exhaling, belly, ribs to collarbones. Now, I will invite you after the inhalation to pause for a moment, maybe counting this pause to about 2 or 3 before you're exhaling again, belly, ribs to collarbones, using Ujjayi technique. We're inhaling, pausing at the end of the inhalation, and then breathing out. Inhaling, maybe to a count of 4 or 5. Holding, if possible, for a count of 2 or 3. And breathing out again to a count of 4 or 5. Then starting the same rhythm again. Inhaling for 4 or 5, holding for 2 to 3, and then breathing out for 4 to 5. What I will invite you to do once you've established your breathing pattern is to have a play with Swasti Mudra. So to bring the hands in front of the chest, maybe even touching the palms of the hands together. As you're breathing in for your usual count, let the hands come apart to about shoulder distance. As you're breathing out, cross the hands so that you're pushing right hand to the left, left hand to the right. As you're inhaling, open the hands again, pause a little, and then cross over with the other hand in front. Keep the fingers pointing upwards. As you're inhaling, open the hands again about shoulder distance. Pause briefly at the end of the inhalation. And when you're breathing out, crossing again, as if you're pushing things over to left and right side. Let's keep that flowing. So each in-breath, hands about shoulder distance, short pause at the end of the inhalation. And then as you're breathing out, crossing the arms over. Inhaling. So this mudra, as we will hold it a little bit later on for a short meditation, is there for general well-being. Allow another 2 rounds, which means we're crossing with each arm in front once. Until you've done that evenly with each side. I invite you to finish then with an out breath where the palms will touch once more in Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. Keep your Ujjayi breath flowing for a couple more rounds. So that everyone has time to join into a still seated position. And after which I'd ask you on the next in-breath to just extend the arms up to the ceiling, maybe open the eyes. And then allow your arms to circle open. Bringing your hands behind or rather underneath to remove the support. You can choose to place your hands down flat with the fingers pointing forward, or you could choose to be up on fists. Your first choice is to open through the heart space once more, maybe guiding the head back. Your neck is sore, please keep looking forward. This is a plenty, but if you would like, you can step your feet out at hip distance and lift the hips up. If you're lifting the hips, please squeeze the buttocks muscles, rising up in that case all the way into an upward facing tabletop. Taking another breath in the back bend or the extension of back bend that you've chosen before slowly releasing your hips back down onto the ground. The head will lift automatically if it was dropping back. Now let us come up onto the knees. Placing your hands down at about shoulder distance apart. Let's go and wag the tail for a moment, getting some movement into the side body. So you don't have to be very precise with the setup at the moment. You might just swing your hips a little bit from side to side. I invite you now to tuck your toes under and to sit right back down towards the heels. To bring your hands in towards the knees and to walk yourself up to sit on the tucked under toes. As I know how much you all love this position, maybe tucking the little toe under as well if that is not quite there. Sit quite heavily towards the heels. Bring your hands back in front of the chest. We'll only do this once. As you breathe in, open the arms. And now keep the right hand closer to the body as you're pushing across on the exhalation. That's the full expression of the mudra. We'll hold that here for a moment. You might steady your gaze or close the eyes. To release the position, take a breath in. Lift the hips away from the heels. Reach your arms up, come to stand on your knees, and then circle the arms all the way around as we're engaging into a camel. Place the palms of the hands into your lower back. Squeeze your buttocks muscles. As you're moving your hips forward, take a breath in and lift the heart. The head can stay here, the chin tucked in, nice and safe. Elbows, shoulder blades are moving backwards. Heart space is lifting. If you want more, lift the chin forward and then guiding the head backwards. If you can't get enough of this back bend, you might reach towards your heels. But this would be plenty to do. Take a deep breath along the front of the body. Exhale while holding the stability and support of this pose. Then inhaling again. And as you're breathing out, just bending the hips. Let everything follow. As you're lowering down towards a child's pose, you could choose to stack your fists and rest the forehead onto stacked fists, lengthening a little bit through the back and the back of the neck. One more breath here. Think about your Jai technique. Before extending the arms forward once more. Planting the hands down onto the ground. Let's take a breath in, coming up onto all fours. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips for your first downward dog. You might choose to walk out a little bit into the legs, creating some space. And as always, you can swing out your hips as well if you like. So these are all options for you to choose, movement or remaining steady. I will ask you from your down dog now to pause, to breathe in and roll the spine forward into a plank, to lower your left knee down onto the ground and your right heel, to maybe adjust the left hand to be just underneath the shoulder. And as you take a breath in, to lift the right arm. Allowing yourself to extend the body fully, to open up. If you would like to lift the right leg, you could do that too. And you could also extend your arm over the head. This requires a fair bit of balance. So just being mindful. Releasing your right hand down and your right foot, but turning yourself towards the mat. Now bring your right knee down as well. Keep your elbows snug in by the side and lower down onto the front of your body. Hands stay next to the lower ribs. Tops of the feet are grounding down. Knees might be lifting. Let's take a breath in and lift the upper body. Head, chest, elbows are staying in and hands will start to lift off the floor. Engaging a little bit more into your back muscles. And as you're breathing out, now squeeze down to the right side. Then inhale, come to center. And exhale, squeeze down to your left side. Now, if you can hold here, otherwise take a pause. Repeat twice more to each side. Just squeezing into the side of the body. Once you complete it, release down onto the mat. Push into the floor as you come up. And then retreat back towards the heels into your extended child's pose. Now, as you're next inhaling, come back up onto all fours. Tuck the toes under once more and lift the knees back into downward facing dog. If down dog isn't yours, you do know that you can stay on all fours instead. Soften your knees a bit. Find the length now in the spine. The gaze just slightly down underneath onto the mat. So we're keeping also the natural curve of the neck. As you're next inhaling, roll forward into a plank. And this time, drop the right knee down to the mat. And your left heel. And maybe adjusting the positioning of the right hand. And as you're breathing in now, lifting the left one. Support yourself in this kneeling side plank. If you feel it is appropriate, you can lift the left leg and maybe even extend the left arm over the head. Inviting you from here to bring the hand back down, then land the foot, toes tucked under, but the hips are facing down. If you want more, you can now extend into full plank, but it's perfectly fine to have both knees on the ground. And as you're exhaling, elbows stay close, lowering down into the front of the body. Let your arms come down by the side this time. Turn the palms onto the mat. Let's take a breath in. Keep the chin resting on the floor and lifting your right leg. And when you're breathing out, lower it again. Inhaling, lift the left leg. Exhale and lower it again. As you're breathing in, leave the legs down, lift the head, the chest and the arms. Holding here, and if that works for you, inhale, lift the right leg again. Exhale to release it. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale to release it. Maybe lifting both and holding here, or choosing to alternate, or even to keep the legs down for the whole time that we spend in this shape. Don't forget your arms and fingers, reach down into those as well as into your toes. And then release it all again. Hands come back down by your sides, lifting up onto all fours. This time take your knees out wide and touch your big toes together, sitting back towards the heels, soft arms, forehead resting down, maybe on a support. So wide-legged child's pose for a moment. Allowing deep breath in and out. Maybe there's a subtle difference in the experience here with the knees wide. If that doesn't suit, of course, you can have your legs in a different position. We will find our way up into standing from here. So as you inhale, come to all fours. Bring your knees in, tuck your toes under. Hands towards the knees as we're lifting the knees and extending down into a forward bend. So let your feet be a little bit separate, maybe hip distance apart. Allow the belly to be attached to the thighs and lean the body forward. So with the belly resting on the thighs, it's quite likely your knees are bent, however deep they need to be to get there. Let the arms just drop down. If you like, you can hold onto the opposite elbow. And you might even choose to sway a bit. Allowing the spine to hang out, bringing some space into the back. Not just by hanging it out, but also by extending through the back line. Maybe changing the grip, the other arm on top. And maybe also changing the swinging to just rocking a little bit forward and backward. Then let the hands fall towards the mat, engage your lower abs and curl up slowly using an out breath. As you're rising up into standing, we will use the mat so we've got some grip. I'll ask you to step the right foot forward, left foot a bit back. Mafta Warrior 2 stands, so the right knee will come into a bend. And we're grounding down through the feet while lifting the arches of the feet. Now let's bring the arms out into shoulder height and let the shoulders soften. Your arms are quite strong at this stage, but I will ask you to turn the palms of the hands upwards. Now let's take a breath in to reach forward. Keep looking into the palm of the hand. And as you're breathing out, bring the hand in, fingertips towards the body, and then circle it all the way up. So the palm of the hand is facing upwards now. Then complete the circle and turn the palm back in front of you. Let's try that one more time. As you're breathing in, reach forward in your warrior pose. Circle your arm out, bring the fingertips in as you look into the palm of the hand. Then complete the circle, So the palm is facing up when the hand is over the head. And then circle it back in and complete your posture. Last round. Inhale, reach forward. Circle it out. Bring the fingertips in towards you, almost to the tummy. Keep circling. Extend the arm upwards. And then complete it as you arrive. Let's take a deep breath, straighten out the legs and lift the arms. Turning the foot forward, that's the right one. And as you're exhaling now, let's soften the knees and fold all the way down towards the mat again. Let the head release so the neck is at ease and your gaze be back between the feet. The weight, however, sits forward in the feet, so on the balls of the feet more than the heels. The knees can be bent, but at least they're out of the lock. We're allowing the tailbone to be really high. And if you would like to change this position slightly, you can point your fingertips back and release down for 3 deep breaths. Once you completed those breaths, I will ask you to bring the hands back in, to soften the knees, and to take a deep breath as you're circling the arms up, rising all the way towards the ceiling, and then release the arms down by your sides. We will change sides, so now turning your left foot to the short end of the mat. Maybe wiggle your stance into the right position, so fairly far apart, and bring a bend into the left knee. So same here. I go on and on about the arches of the feet being lifted in the standing postures. It really helps us to align ourselves. So when we collapse here, we're letting the knee fall in the back leg. So when we're grounding down through the foot more and the arch is lifted, the whole leg is switched on. And similar at the front, where the lift of the arch or the engagement of it allows us to keep the knee in alignment with our toes. Now let's bring the arms out again for Warrior 2. Your drishti, as usual, front hand fingertips. Soften into the shoulders as you find your stance. And we will then turn the palms upwards again. Oftentimes that feels a bit softer in the shoulders. And of course, please feel free to rest an arm down. Let's start our movement. As you inhale, lean forward with the torso. Circle your arm in. Bring it in towards the belly as you're looking in. Complete your circle as you're reaching the palm and the gaze upwards. And then returning to the palm up warrior. Let's do that again. Inhale, reach forward. Circle your arm out. Follow it with the gaze, especially as you draw your fingers in towards your tummy. Then extending the arm up and completing the warrior again. Last round. Inhale, reach forward. Open and circle it out, curl in before you're lifting and then releasing. Let's take a deep breath, turn the foot forward, lifting the arms again. And as you're breathing out, just simply releasing the arms down by your sides. I invite you to heel and toe or step the feet in so they come a bit closer. There's no balanced class without a balance. And as some of you haven't practiced potentially for some time, I invite you into a very simple tree pose. So to do your tree, you can choose to place just the heel against the leg and keep the big toe grounded. You can choose your foot below the knee, or you can lift the foot up all the way to the inner thigh, or even into the hip crease. Please make your choice. Once you've chosen the position, Press down into your standing leg and lift and engage into that tree. And then bring the hands to touch in front of the chest. As we are working with the mudra today, I invite you to inhale in your tree, open the hands to shoulder distance. The right hand here stays near the body as we're bringing our hands across. Get a sense of being whole and complete. Grounded, connected to the space around, and complete and perfect just as you are, even if the balance wobbles. As you're breathing in now, lift the arms and your knee. And when you're exhaling, lower the foot and release your arms. And noticing what these legs feel like. Maybe one's really strong, the other one's a bit too relaxed. Who knows what's going on in your body? Let us change sides to balance that out. Choosing your tree on this side, the same options here, anywhere, just not against your knee. You found your position, you're grounding down through the standing leg, feeling a sense of lifting and growing, standing tall, just like the trees do outside of my window. Once you complete it, bring the hands to touch. We will repeat our mudra. So while you take a breath in, open the hands to about shoulder distance. Still the right hand stays close as you're crossing. And then hold the mudra and hold your tree. Tune back in with the sensation or idea of feeling whole. From the sole of the foot, through the whole body, to the crown, and even the space around you. On the next in-breath, lift the arms and the knee. And on the out-breath, release the foot and release your arms. Let's move the arms a little bit, walk a little bit forward and backwards, or give your legs a shake, whatever is needed. I will invite you from here onto your back, so if you have taken your jumper off, it might be a good idea to put that back on. And as you come down to sit, have all the measures of support around you. Even a support to sit upright. We will finish this practice with a little meditation. So once you're reclined down onto your mat, I encourage you before you release to hug the right knee into the chest. Give that a good squeeze. You might choose to have the opposite hand on the knee and just taking yourself into a light twist. Then to center again, place the foot down onto the floor. Let the knee fall out to the side and then sliding the leg out long. Bringing your left knee into the chest. Give that one a squeeze. Opposite hand to the knee, other arm out to the side and a light twist. So don't force, just a little release before we're resting. Coming back to the center, step the foot to the ground, let your knee fall open and slide the leg out long. Now, if you're perfectly fine with the legs out long, you can stay here. You can pop a bolster underneath the knees, or you can step your feet down onto the ground and let the knees hold against each other. I recommend for this Shavasana to let the arms fall away from the body, palms facing up and shoulders softened. Chin is in the saddle, tucked towards the chest so that the back of the neck is in neutral. You can close the eyes or steady your gaze. But now soften into the breath, allowing yourself to relax into it. Allowing the body to be still. As I will share the second card with you. It's the Flower of Life deck. This card is about healing. Feel into you and realize that the giving and receiving of love in all its many amazing shades of magnificence is the key to healing. Every illness is a symbolic message from one part of the self to another concerning your emotional responses to life. Let yourself feel. Use your will, your intention, and your wisdom to understand with compassion the perceptions and experiences that you carry. Become intimate with you before trying to help another. Respect the right of another to carry the pain they choose in order to find the truth of their higher self. Pain is the way your higher self gets your attention. It is the way this amazing, wonderful universe that is you shows you where you hold imbalance. It is doing all it can to bring you into balance so you can fulfill your potential. All is perfect in this moment. If you feel you can't comfortably sit upright at all, you may stay lying down, but I recommend to find a seated position so you can join in with the mudra once more. Once you make your way up into sitting, you can support in any way. Again, even just leaning against a wall might be useful. Elevating the hips might be. Or even sitting in a chair. You know how the mudra works, so you can close the eyes again. I'll ask you to start with the hands at shoulder distance apart, the fingers facing upwards. And for the last time in this practice, leave the right arm close to your body and cross your arms. Keep the fingers pointing up and the palms away from each other. And hold that here in front of your chest. Make sure that you're not holding onto too much tension. There will be a little bit, but maybe supporting lightly with the lower abs. Maybe allowing the shoulders to soften. Swasti Mudra, a gesture of well-being, also helping with protection of negative energy. Notice how this position makes you feel. Continue with the gentle, nourishing breath. Begin now by sensing protection from others' negativity. Recognize that at the level of the personality, most people are focused on their own wants and needs, sometimes leading them to act unconsciously. When you're breathing in, sense your protective shield. And as you breathe out, let go of negativity, especially that of others. You might repeat that breath with these ideas a couple more times. Negative energy can also infuse particular places and even whole cities because of their karmic history. In these places, your energy might be depleting or weakening. If you find yourself in such a place with negative vibrations, also take a deeper breath. Draw in your protective shield of energy. And when you're exhaling, release the negativity from the environment around you. If you've got one of these places in mind or are sitting in one, you might repeat that a couple of times or return back to the first idea of people in your life. You might choose to mentally repeat now, with my energy field of protective energy, all negativity is neutralized completely. Let us release the mudra by taking a deep breath in to extend the arms up and over the head. You might keep the eyes shut, touch the palms of the hands together, and draw this energy past the forehead, past lips and throat, down into your heart. Knowing that you can create a protective energy shield just by your own will and concentration. As we tap into the energy within us, a light bow of the head, so we can extend from here to each other. Namaste.